era begins again.
And how you guys doing? Welcome to this edition of Insane Throttle's Biker News over on Motorcycle Madhouse Radio. Today I figured I'd dive into a completely different subject, that being the good motorcycle clubs do. You know, I figured we had to do something like this because over and over again, all our news reports is about, the bad stuff that happens in the motorcycle club scene. So, let's get into some good stuff that clubs do. And this had to do with the Thanksgiving holiday and what clubs were doing during this holiday season. So let's take a look. The postnewsgroup.com, and it's by Carla Thomas. West Oakland churches and motorcycle clubs provide food and fellowship to homeless. Now, one thing you got with California, it is so sad out there right now. The homelessness, my God. You wish the news would cover this more, but of course the media, they only want to cover dumb crap like politics going on instead of the crisis that is going on in California. If you don't know what causes the crisis out there, you cannot live out there. A 2-bedroom apartment costs $2,500 to $3,000. I was actually reading a story today where a couple and their kids had to live in a van because they couldn't afford anything, and they both had 2 full-time jobs. It is that bad in California. For those that live out there, put a comment in the comment section and let us know exactly what's going out there, because the media ain't gonna let us know. But anyway, Taylor Memorial United Methodist Church hosted a holiday Thanksgiving meal and giveaway on 12th Street between Adeline and Mongolia in West Oakland. Dozens of church volunteers led by Pastor Anthony Jenkins Sr. and First Lady Valerie Jenkins served a hot meal to hundreds of guests seated at 10 circular tables in the church, which is awesome. They had turkey, ham, dressing, macaroni and cheese, yam, salad rolls, and more. More than 300 bags of groceries filled with dry goods and items such as canned tuna, chicken, macaroni and cheese, all that good stuff. And that goes a lot for homelessness right there to help feed them. They were prepared to feed thousands, and he goes on to talk about caring about the community and all that good stuff. It's common for the church to distribute the whole 9 yards, but let's get down to on the other side of West Oakland on Mandela Parkway. The street was blocked off from the Target parking lot to 34th Street, where a combination of churches and motorcycle clubs came together to feed the needy. It was positioned just outside a tough shed homeless encampment where 8 decorated rectangular tables and full buffet standing with volunteers. The Divas to Die Motorcycle Club, Night Riders Motorcycle Club, and the Buffalo Soldiers also participated. Some of the motorcycle chapter members traveled from as far away as Sacramento and Modesto. Night Riders Motorcycle Club of Oakland's president, Champagne Ellison, said, quote, "Without us helping collectively, these families are suffering. We spend so much time getting excited about a holiday that we can't afford, but what about those who can't? We wake up in the morning with our Christmas and shopping list, and we forget about the ones that can't do that, and it's heartbreaking." You know what? The guy has a point, man. We all go out there, spend, and there's a lot of people on the streets that can't afford anything but to live in a tent, man. Like I said earlier, this one couple was living in their van. And this is, truly freaking sad out in California, where these politicians and, the House Speaker Pelosi's district is garbage. San Francisco used to be a great town, but now it's tent city because these politicians are too busy worried about the Green Deal or other crap that don't mean nothing. Instead of hating on everything, these people need to go to work and get, earning their money that they were earning their money. They're all millionaires and they're representing people that are living on the freaking streets. They don't care, man. Anybody in the Beltway of Washington, D.C. does not care about you. Get that in your head. They don't care. Their own, and you know what? I always say that the worst mistake that the founders ever made was not putting term limits in the Constitution. I always said if I had a time machine, I go back before they signed the Constitution and said, you know what? You made a great country, but the problem is you messed up and you made a monarchy within the Congress. And they'll mostly go back and say, oh, the people should vote them out. No, man. It's all freaking, yeah, it's a setup, man. You got this Elijah Cummings widow and then I guess his daughter trying to run. It's like they own that seat, and that's not how America works. And you wonder why you got problems like this happening? Yeah, in Chicago, it's the most segregated city in the United States. Think about that. Anyway, I'm excited to be here enjoying family and friends while feeding those in need, said Night Riders Motorcycle Club member Latanya Heron, when a resident of the adjacent homeless encampment, Tamala Harris, finished her meal. She gathered her to-go plate and later and paused in her tracks with tears in her eyes. She expressed her gratitude to volunteers before walking through the gates where she has called home the past month. I live here with my 3 sons and have been displaced for nearly 9 years, she said, of the city-sanctioned encampment behind her. Well, if it's city sanctioned, why don't you start getting some government tents out there, big ones, because you got all these FEMA freaking camps left empty and stuff, and I'm not a fan of that because there's something up with that when you got FEMA camps opening up. But why don't you put some homeless in there and start taking care of business instead of your pockets out in D.C. And the state of California is just ruined. These freaking liberals ruined it. It's garbage out there. Quote, that's what it's all about, said Gene Gillam, president of the Oakland chapter of the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club. He's a retired veteran of 33 years in the U.S. Army, says he's proud to serve his country, but feels joy serving his community. And that is one thing that club members, that the media does not get out there, is they do more for their community than most of the government agencies do. They are always out there helping people, protecting people, and I think that's why the government don't like a lot of these clubs. But, the Buffalo Soldiers, man, we always know they're out there doing stuff. The Buffalo Soldiers are one of the most active clubs that do community service. He goes on to say, we want people to be shown that they are loved and cared for. That's America, man. That's what America's supposed to be about anyway. When the Buffalo Soldiers of the U.S. Army served the country beginning in 1844, they were called the Colored Troops. From that time on, our people, black/African Americans, have always shown how much they love their country and its people. Our motorcycle club just carries that tradition on, but we don't discriminate by color. We care about everyone regardless of color. And you know what? You think about that statement, and you gotta say, and I'm talking about the liberals, man. They're always talking about white supremacy. They're always talking about this supremacist and that supremacist. They just project because it was them, their party, that caused all this crap. But they don't want people to know history. They want people to get dumbed down. People need to wake up and start thinking for themselves, man. They really do. It's always wonderful to see grassroots efforts from goodness to their hearts to make sure our most valuable residents are unsheltered and having a wonderful holiday. We want to send out our thanks to these clubs. You really make a good impression on the motorcycle club community. Like I said, most of the time it's always what the clubs are doing bad that gets into the news instead of this kind of good stuff. And when it does get into the news, it's buried and you can hardly find it. But let's go to the next one. Members of Veterans Motorcycle Club to help out at a Springfield soup kitchen. This one by the SpringfieldNewsSun.com by Riley Newton. Members of Veterans Motorcycle Club will be volunteering at the soup kitchen on Wednesday evening. President of the Fairborn chapter of the U.S. Veterans Motorcycle Club, which we gotta say, thanks for your service to this country. And you know what? The U.S. Veterans Motorcycle Club is just awesome, okay? They're awesome people. If you ever see one, go shake their hand. The organization is in Springfield in order to reach out in different areas of the community. He goes on to say, we try to do all kinds of community outreach through the year, and it seemed like a great opportunity to get some outreach in Springfield. About 14 of the veterans will be volunteering. The group will be bringing some items, but for the most part, the group will be focused on serving food to those who come into the soup kitchen that evening. And before I go on, when I'm talking about motorcycle clubs, I remember when I was a piston in Chicago, they were filling, the COC was filling truckloads of freaking food, gifts. The Toys for Tots in Chicago is huge, but this is something that the media doesn't cover about clubs. We're talking 1%er clubs. It was the Outlaws at that time, and still is, as far as I'm hearing, that they get all these clubs together. They get just truck full of food for the homeless, for the less fortunate, and they don't get no credit for it. Same thing with freaking, I know the Hells Angels do the bikes for the kids, and Special Olympics, you got all the other banditos, they were serving turkeys down in Texas. A lot of these clubs, they get such a bad rap in the media because just a few of them and what they get into, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. The motorcycle club will arrive at the soup kitchen at around 5, it goes on to say. And then he goes on to quote, that's the night we are going to be having our traditional Thanksgiving dinner and turkey. I really needed a group to come in and help out. And that's when they reached out. They really came through. One of the soup kitchen volunteers said. And he goes on to say, we want to help better the biker image to the general public. And that's the great way to accomplish two things at once, helping homeless veterans and do something for all those who do so much for us. Again, the veterans are freaking awesome, man. And you know what? I don't know if you guys seen it over this Thanksgiving break. It was so funny, the headlines, and I'm going to get into Trump stuff right now, that, well, he's spending time golfing and doing all this stuff. They wrote this story like that, just bashing the guy, and people wonder why we don't trust the media, because it ended up that he spent Thanksgiving with our warriors over in Afghanistan. They did, you know what? Then they were all scrambling because they made themselves look like fools. Enough with the media lies, man. Everything from the Trump all the way down to 1%er clubs. The media wonders why nobody trusts them, man. They're nothing but liars. You gotta start, freaking news is not about personal opinion. It's about the facts. It really is, and the facts never get out there because you got a bunch of corporations that think, hey, it's about the money. We'll put out there what we want. It's all about propaganda and putting away their views are. So there you have it. The motorcycle clubs do phenomenal things for the community. And again, it's just so sad that they don't get the recognition they deserve for all the hard work they do in the community. Like I said, the politicians, they'll go to these parades, wave to you once a freaking holiday or something like that, but they're really not doing nothing for the people. It's up to you people to get out there and get on these congressmen and women's butts, man. I can't swear because this goes on to YouTube. But get on them. Make them do something. And if they don't, stop being sheeps and vote them out of office. Because you do, a lot of people say, well, voting don't matter. It does. If you want change, you gotta affect change. You know, it's pretty bad. I just seen it. They just signed a bill for the Hong Kong protesters to back them. They had more American flags in Hong Kong than the Democrats ever did in their debates or anything like that. And then they freaking were singing the national anthem. But then we got these leftist socialist pigs out there, you know, bashing America. No, you got to get out there, take care of your country, and see the policies that are affecting the homelessness. This is outrageous what's going on in California. And there's kids that are suffering. I thought they're supposed to be all about for kids. Bull crap. They're not. Get on them and make them work for once in their life. And again, thanks for all the clubs that don't get the recognition for what they are doing in the community. Because without motorcycle clubs, working with these other services like soup kitchens, homeless shelters, these people will be screwed. And you know what? I cannot understand a city-sanctioned tent city. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable the way things are nowadays. It really is. It's really sad to see what's happening out there. And you know what? It happens in Chicago as well. I don't know if you guys understand this about Chicago. It is segregated in Chicago. North side, you got mostly white, and then the Polish and all that immigrants. Then west side and south side's mostly black, and then you know you got Latinos put in there. It's pretty bad, man. Then the east is it's all segregated by wards, as we call it here. But yeah, those are the policies, guys, really, you know, and I hate to get political on this stuff, but it's something political that needs to be done to help these people. And if you know, you don't like what I have to say politically, fine, disagree, but at least get out there and help people by getting these Congress people freaking on their ball and doing something for this country instead of freaking, you know, loading their pockets up with cash, dealing with special interest groups, and get on the media, man. You guys can write the letter to the editors, you can call, complain about the coverage, but nobody does that. And the only way to change media is to kill their subscription services, man. But you got to get involved. Something, you know, you might not think it's going to happen to you, but one day it might. And then you're going to wish people were there to help you. So get involved, help out, and get on these people, man. Really, make them, you know, hold them accountable for once. So that's my spiel.